Hello everyone, it's Will from Turbo Zentrum, and today we're going to go over the Spotlight product of the week. This week's Spotlight product is fans.
You've got no friends!
So why do we need fans within cars? Well, most combustion engines produce heat, and that heat and temperature we need to keep controlled and cooled down. Otherwise, those temperatures would soar and things would melt or set on fire, and we really don't need that. We use fans to keep those temperatures down to our ideal temperature. You may notice that the temperature gauge within your car usually shows roughly 90 degrees Celsius. Again, that is what we're trying to achieve. Depending on what kind of setup you've got, what kind of big power you may be running, it may need to be cooler, it may need to run hotter, but we still need to be able to control those temperatures for safety factors and to make sure that the car runs efficiently. To do this, we use things like radiators and intercoolers, and we attach fans. Most new school cars come with electric fans from factory. Old school cars, like your old classics, these would potentially run off the engine from a belt. There are some pros and cons to that. Old school fans that run off a belt or are driven by the engine are running constantly. The speed of which that fan runs depends on the level of RPM your engine is putting out. If you are sat in traffic idling, that fan might not be turning quick enough to keep that engine cool. Whereas if you're doing a big power run, it might be running too fast and getting the engine slightly cooler than it needs to be for an ideal temperature. Now, electric fans can be controlled and programmed through the thermostat, and this way we can keep those levels at the optimal temperature. There is also a big difference between the type of fan blades that you will get in a fan. You can have straight fan blades. Now, this would drag more air through or push more air, whereas a curved blade doesn't give you as much. The biggest difference is noise. So straight blades would create a lot of noise and you would hear that, whereas the curved blades are a lot quieter. Again, which one you like depends on what you're running. If you're running big upgrades and you need all the air you can get, you might be looking at a straight blade. If you need a relatively big upgrade, so you're upgrading these fans, but you want it to be quiet and sensible, you go for the curved. Another big question is whether you have a single fan or a dual fan. Again, this is up to yourself. If you're running big horsepower and big upgrades, then you may be looking at running a dual fan setup. If you're running moderate power or there's only enough room for one, you run a big fan. Again, it's all down to personal choice and what your car needs. Now, there is a slight difference with fans as well. You can have a push fan or a pull fan, and the biggest difference in this is where you fit it. Most electric fans pull and suck the air through. If you was to put this on the front of a radiator, it would then be pushing the air through. Putting it on the front, 9 times out of 10 doesn't make sense. The only time that you would do that is if you're probably struggling for space. The reason you wouldn't do it is because this big fan could potentially block airflow coming through, in which case you're restricting yourself there again. If you put it on the opposite side so that it's pulling the air through, it's working as efficiently and effectively as it can do, especially if you've got a shroud around it. That'll work spot on. I think the next thing to speak about is CFM. A lot of people wonder what CFM is. CFM stands for cubic feet per minute, and this is the measurement of airflow. When you're looking at radiators and fans, you'll see things like CFM 1200, CFM 1500, and so on and so forth. Those numbers is how many cubic feet this fan can move in a minute, and you want a bigger number if you are running bigger upgrades and more power. Again, it's all down to what your car requires. You need to keep it at that optimal temperature. So that is all the time I've got for this week's Spotlight product. Hopefully this information has helped you and can help you make a decision on what fan you may need. If you do need any more help or information, feel free to give us a ring here at Turbo Zentrum, and one of our tech guys will help you as much as they can. Very pleasant. That's about all I've got to say about fans, apart from subscribe. And speaking of subscribing, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and give it a follow for more information and updates, as well as our Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all our deals. Thank you, and see you at Japfest.